All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for being a part of the Great Neighborhoods Lunch and Learn today. We are so excited about the program we'll be sharing with you guys. Just for your benefit, this is a recorded session and we do play these back for everybody who registered. This will be on our website, our social media sites and things like that. So this is a recorded session. We have a number of people registered today, which is fantastic. So if you could, just to kind of get to know the virtual people in the room, you could drop in the chat maybe your name and neighborhood you are with, or maybe if you're at your business right now, you can always let us know that you're there. It just kind of gives us an idea of who is with us right now. And of course, the speakers know who's in the virtual room as well. Everybody is on mute right away. And so if you have any questions, feel free to also drop those in the chat. We'll give a lot of opportunities to do some question and answer, but I know sometimes if you have a pressing question, drop it in the chat. I'll be managing that and we'll make sure that all of your questions get answered for today. So again, if you're just jumping in, we are posting who you are and where you're from, just getting to know everybody in the virtual room right now. And let's get started here. All right, hopefully everybody can see my screen. If somebody could give me a thumbs up that you could see my screen, that would be great. Awesome. All right, and again, welcome everybody to the Great Neighborhoods Lunch and Learn. Our presentation today is Birth to 5 Illinois. If you're just joining us, we'll provide a lot of opportunities for question and answer, but again, I will be managing the chat. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop it in there. Also any comments too. We welcome any comments during the presentation. And I know that our speakers today will welcome any questions that you have while they're speaking. This is a recorded session and we will be sharing this once again with everybody who is registered and of course on our social media platforms and our website. Just in case you are new to Great Neighborhoods, I love to share just a little bit about us. We are a grassroots project that help bring neighborhoods together and help them understand who they are and what they have to offer. We also help them, empower them to work together on shared actions and goals. We also work to promote neighborhoods through marketing and branding initiatives too. Here are several ways that we get involved with neighborhoods and help them. This is definitely not an exhaustive list, but some of the top things that we do. And as you can see with the highlighted areas, this is an example of us communicating information and resources and also providing education and training. I think everybody was going to really enjoy this new program that has come about to address and talk about early education. As Great Neighborhoods, we understand that a vibrant, strong, and healthy school and neighborhoods impact a neighborhood greatly and directly. And so we always encourage everybody, whether you have a child in school or not, to get involved with the schools that are in your neighborhood because they certainly impact one another. If you're a part of a neighborhood group or association, absolutely get in touch with your neighborhood school because a lot of the families that more than likely live in your neighborhood are going to that school. And it's really great to build strong relationships with your schools and your neighborhood groups and associations. So we're all about connecting assets and connecting neighborhood residents to their assets, and school and education, of course, is one of the greatest assets that we could offer. So with that being said, I would love to turn over the microphone over to the regional counselor manager, Liv Bain, and she's going to take it from here and talk to us about Birth to 5 Illinois.
Thank you so much. We are so excited to be here today. And I'm going to try to share my screen. One moment. Okay. Thumbs up if you can see my PowerPoint. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. So thank you, Sarah, for having us here today. Birth to Five is working on centering the community voice to transform early childhood in Illinois. And you did a wonderful introduction. Thank you so much. Again, I'm Livia Bain, Regional Council Manager, and I have Kelly here today. Out there, Kelly.
Hello. So my name is Kelly McNeil, and I'm the Family and Community Engagement Specialist for Birth to Five, Illinois, Region 4.
And Lisa.
Good afternoon. I'm Lisa Cohen. I'm the Administrative Assistant Regional Admin for Birth to Five, Illinois for Boone County and Winnebago.
Thank you. Yeah, so as Lisa mentioned, we are Region 4, which is Winnebago and Boone County. So we've got the map you can see here that shows there are 39 other Birth to Five regions across the state. And so that means that there are 39 more in the different colored areas of Lisa, Livia, and Kelly's across the state. Birth to Five Illinois is in partnership with INCRA. INCRA, for those of you who are not familiar, stands for the Illinois Network of Child Care Resource and Referral Agencies. They are located mid-state in Bloomington, Illinois. And so they are kind of like our parent organization. A lot of people think maybe Birth to Five is, that we are state employees. We're not. We are employees of INCRA, who have accepted state funding to get this program off the ground. So just wanted to provide you with that breakdown. These also, those of you that are familiar with the regional offices of education, we follow the same boundaries as school districts. This is just a quick shot of Birth to Five Illinois across the state. These are all your regional managers, your family engagement specialists, and your administrative assistants. And then that one larger picture to the right there is Cicely Fleming, and she is our state director. So we have quickly grown INCRA's staff in a short amount of time. So, and I would be amiss if I didn't read you our mission. Our mission is to create a statewide regional infrastructure that amplifies input from communities in the development of policies and funding priorities. We support the mobilization of communities to build and sustain equitable access to inclusive, high quality early childhood services for all children and families in the state of Illinois. So, if you think about that map, what we do know is that, even in Winnebago and Boone County, we are not Chicago, we are not Southern Illinois, we are the tip top middle Northern Illinois, and we are different than our other parts of the region. And so that is part of why it is so important for us to take regional looks at what we do. And here's this video. So if you can't hear it, somebody please stop me, but this is an excellent short 2.5-minute video on the Birth to Five program.
Early childhood education in Illinois shouldn't be this complicated, but with multiple funding sources, differing program requirements, and top-heavy decision-making process, families and even educators and providers are feeling confused. Quality early education and childcare is vital to helping our families thrive. And when families thrive, our communities and our entire state thrives, which is why the state of Illinois is introducing Birth to Five Action Councils. The goal is to ensure that our early childhood systems are designed around the local needs of providers, families, and communities. By sharing these insights with state decision makers, solutions can be guided by real-life experience and recommendations of the people impacted. The Birth to Five Action Councils will work to ensure that everyone has access to affordable, high-quality early childhood education from the time a parent is pregnant through kindergarten. Here's how the councils will work. The councils, comprised of local officials, providers, educators, families, and members of the business community, will develop a plan or refine an existing one for expanding early childhood education resources where they're needed. They'll also collect and analyze racial, social, and geographic data so that the state can make better decisions about funding and access to high-quality care. Councils will help make services more accessible by supporting each region's ability to build early learning based on what families and educators need. And they'll engage and amplify the family voice in planning and policy design. You may already have an organization doing some of this work in your community. The Birth to 5 Action Councils will partner with these local collaborations or other early childhood organizations to build on the work already being done and coordinate across regions so that more families are served. The goal of the Birth to 5 Action Councils is not just to understand what changes are needed, but to redesign the system with families at the center. To learn more and get involved, visit our website. Early childhood education in
Okay, we love that video. We think it does a great overview of the program. So, Sarah, you kind of already opened with this today. So I guess I would just follow up if anybody was not able to include in the chat your name, what you do for a living, you know, whether it's, you know, engaged with a certain community group or stay-at-home parent or school district, whatever it may be, and maybe the town you're in our region. That would be really helpful for us to know who we're talking to if you haven't done so already. Okay, so this slide is a reference to the past, and I say the past, and I'm going back to 2019. So basically pre-COVID, the governor had implemented a commission to take a look at the early childhood system in Illinois. What was great about COVID, if there was a great thing that we made through COVID, was it really showed not just the state and our regions, but the nation, the cracks in our system. You know, if you don't have an early childhood system, a school system to support our earliest learners, you didn't have parents that could go to work, you didn't have businesses that could run, and then the economy was the end, you know, suffering result of that. And so what was great that it provided, it sort of kind of shook those cracks wide open and gave us an even clearer view into where we need to funnel resources and support for our kids. Because we always like to use this example. You have a business that you work for, that business leader, and that's why we invite those business people to come to the table as well. They may not have known what a centralized role and importance they have in the early childhood system, right? You know, whereas before it was like, well, that's something a parent needs to take care of. Nope, we are all in this together. And if we don't have a strong system to support the parents, again, the results kind of trickle down there. And so the key recommendations that came out from that commission that took a look were 3 bold goals, and these are not overnight changes. These are goals to work towards. And the first was to infuse, when we say ECEC, by the way, it's early childhood education and care. So infusing that funding into policymaking, you know, so we will show that the chart that the video opened with again, but taking a look at the funding sources and the regions you're in and making the appropriate funding choices to distribute it as needed. So that's kind of a 1 and 2 there. And then again, we're going to take a look at that chart again, but to centralize Illinois' ECEC system into one newly formed agency. That's, again, this is a big one. It's a big idea. It's a big goal. It cannot happen overnight. But when you take a look at this visual and you imagine yourself as a parent walking through this system, and even for those of us, I see that some of us here today are, you know, representing schools and in school systems. Even when you are a provider and you're working with parents, it is so difficult to tell them where to go to get the services they need. You know, you need to go here for this service, there for that service. Well, we have supports here, but these two departments don't talk. There's a lot of red tape that surrounds all of these lines and navigating this system. But what I want you to take away from this is the complexity of the navigation, but then also the three funding sources. So at the top, Head Start and Early Head Start has been invited to the table. That it's, if you ever get a chance to read the commission report, it's all laid out in there. But the three big players at the table are ISB, so the Illinois State Board of Education, IDHS, the Illinois Department of Human Services, and then DCFS, the Department of Children and Family Services, specifically the welfare funds and the child care homes and centers monitoring units. So you have these giant players at the table who a lot of the times there's a lot of red tape and administrative issues with communicating, and you have the parents at the bottom who are the ones navigating the system. And when we talk about taking in regional voices, family voices, stakeholder voices, we need to make this system bottom up, right? So we've got the funders at the top who have laid out the guidelines as they see fit. And then we have the people in the communities who are at the end trying to navigate these systems. And so this is an excellent visual of the complexities and the things that we are working to make easier for communities and families. This is just for those, if we have any business mindsets in the room, maybe those who, when you're in early childhood, or even in the school systems, the benefit of investing, especially early on. And so there's an excellent resource out there from Professor John Heckman, who has studied the return on investment. So you think business, what's the return on investment for something out, in the business world? Well, this is, human capital. So the return here, as you can see, the earlier this graphic shows you invest more, the longer you're going to feel or experience the returns. And so the later we invest, it still has an effect, but not as great as an effect of investing early. And so we'll be sending resources to Sarah after our presentation. And so you'll have something to go back and look at that you found interesting or would like to dive more into. Okay, quick pop quiz to make sure I still have people out there, because I can only see me. So if you could, in the chat, just throw out some guesses. How many children in Illinois under the age of 5 do you think we have as a whole in the state? You could just send out a guess, just throw it in the chat. How many children under the age of 5 in Illinois? And then same question, Winnebago County. How many children do you think we have in Winnebago County? And then the same for Boone. Like to get those feelers out there and get an idea. How many kids do you think we have in the early childhood environment? And then we'll go to the next page with our answers, and you can test yourself here. So, and this is all according to the Risk and Reach report, and I'll explain that in a minute, but Illinois, and again, this is in 2019, at least for this report. Every 3 years, they do release more information, so we are on the cusp of that. So again, this is back to 2019, and remember, that is pre-COVID with these numbers, but still it gives you a good idea. 916,880 for Illinois. Winnebago, 21,260, and Boone County, 3,773. I wanted to real quick introduce you to the Risk and Reach report. Should you need data, and I'm just going to bring this on over. Give me a thumbs up if you can see that. Risk and Reach. Okay, thank you. I just wanted to explain this interactive map. If you ever needed to take a look at our state for your interest, for your any professional writing or what have you, uses are endless, but so I'll show you where we got some of these numbers. And so what you would do is you click on county for our interest here, and we've got Winnebago and Boone up here, right? And we've got family stability. You can click these and change. So we did, let's see here. And if you could just take a look at all of the, we've got maternal education, employment, poverty, drug overdose. I mean, the lists are very, very complete. There's lots of items to choose from. But for this example, we'll click on early care and education, and we'll do child population per county. And you can kind of see how those changed color there. If you do scroll down, you'll see the guide here as far as the coloring. And again, we click on Winnebago County, you'll see those numbers, and you can compare that on Winnebago to Illinois, Boone to Illinois. Let's just, for fun, check out Chicago, Cook County. So again, lots of indicators you can toggle on and off, and you can even go back in years and look, but I wanted to provide this resource for you. Okay, so we're going to close that. Back here. Okay, so this is, I believe this was in the video too. So when we talk about what is Birth to Five doing, how are we engaging with the community to gather those stories and explore that data? Well, we've got two councils that have been formed. We've got the Family Council, which consists of families. And when we say families, that means a lot of things. That could be foster parents, that could be grandparents, that could be moms and dads, that, the list is, it goes on, but it is the family based. And so those are overseen by Kelly, and she'll take some time explaining that here. And then we've got the Action Council, where we've got, we do have family reps on there to make sure we have that voice, but we have local collaborations at the table. I see some familiar faces joined us today who are actually members of our Action Council. We've got community leaders, we've got advocates, we've got teachers and staff. I mentioned businessmen, and women, we've got elected officials. So if you have, and again, when I say you, it is everybody, we're all stakeholders in this game. But if you're here today and you see a fit, and another important one I left off is the faith community. And there was one more, maybe it'll come back to me. So if you're here today and you think that you fill a role here, what we're asking is these current councils have already been seated, but we have other methods that we'll get into that we have left the door open, because we do have people at these action councils, at these tables, but that list is not exhaustive. Anybody who wants to have their voice heard, their experiences, what they see in their neighborhoods going on, whether it's a lack of transportation or a lack of, community engagement, whatever the case may be, we're here in the state of Illinois to gather your stories. And so this is just a nice visual to see who is at the table. Okay, and just a little more on the Action Council. What we are doing is we're identifying gaps in services. And so, we talked about the number of children in Winnebago and Boone County. Does that match the number of slots available for care? What we are finding and what we know is that there are more children than there are slots available. And what is the reason? What's that in between about why is that happening? Is there not enough care? Is there care being done in other ways that's not recorded? For example, friend and neighbor care. So we're identifying those gaps, and if there's certain areas in our counties that don't have, let's say, a child care center, what are those gaps? And those are just some examples, but we are amplifying the family voice. That's always central to what we're doing here, because again, setting the tone from top up is not going to accomplish getting the needs that we need here. So it's listening to those voices here at the table and in our area. We are working with coalitions that already exist in our areas, and some have, for example, there's AOK network over in Stevenson County. Our neighbors some have collaborations that are actually established. We are working with some of the coalitions in town. I would call them are the Winnebago County Health Department, Boone County Health Department, Alignment Rockford. So there are agencies, you know, outside of even just the early childhood providers in town that we are working with to get this message out. So important to us is communicating with the community, and that is why we're here today. We want people to know we exist, know why we're here. And if you think that there's somebody out there that we should be collaborating with, let us know. And we have a lot of different methods available to meet that need. You know, whether you're not on the council or you have, you know, a shorter amount of time available, but have something very important to say, that's what we want to hear. So we are working closely also with our state team. So you saw, you know, Cicely, who is our state leader, and we've got another vast other state reps that are on our team as well. So we'll be taking a look at these data points, kind of like in the risk and reach report, and coming up with an annual report that we will provide the state as a regional answer to what are the strengths, what are some of the gaps we need to fill across the state of Illinois. So that is the action side. And with that, I'm going to lead to Kelly to tell you about the family councils.
Okay, thank you, Olivia. So this basically, what will the family councils do? So to serve as an advisory committee to the Action Council. So we know that the Action Council, the stakeholders mentioned by Olivia earlier, who they are. We want the Family Council to work in tandem with the Action Council. And I think that's really important because all of those things that Olivia mentioned about, you know, figuring out what the scan is, trying to see what the needs are, everybody's voice being heard, we do think that's really important. And at the end of the day, if we're talking about being, you know, family-centered, our experts are the families. So we do need to hear from them. And on those family councils, they're going to be sharing their input. And it says critical input. I like to say they're sharing their expertise, okay? Because they're the parent. They know what they've been through. Only they can tell their story. And so that's the story that we are looking to hear from the people who are on the family council. The feedback that we do get from them, those are the things that will be taken back to that regional scan. And that's the information that we're going to put in there. And so there's still going to be lots of going back and forth with the Action Council. So it's not going to be just the Action Council reviewing data. The Family Council is also going to review data. So it's going to be really like a learning process for everyone. And we want to make sure that the families involved understand that they are the experts and that it's okay to go ahead and advocate for their family needs. Because what we see a lot of times is, you know, a parent saying, well, you know, I send my child to school and it's the teacher, okay, who needs to do this, or, you know, they go over here to this center. This is your job. You're supposed to, you know, teach them this or inform us of everything that's going on. And, you know, no fault to them, you know, but we really want to make them feel like they're a part in the decisions that are made and letting them know that, you know what, it's okay. Go ahead and advocate for your family needs, because how do we know what you need if you're not telling us or if we don't hear from you? And by getting that family voice, that's how we're going to identify those gaps. Because again, we're speaking to the experts, the families, the people who are navigating that system. So any like raise issues of concern from the community, if, you know, we're seeing that, you know, we've got slot issues over here. There aren't enough weekend care available, or why do centers close at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock? And we have a lot of businesses who don't close till 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. And then we have those third shift folks. So any type of issues, concerns, you know, that you're seeing maybe not in a big part of the region, but in certain neighborhoods, you know what, there's not enough in a certain area, or you know what, this kind of needs to be spread out, and that's great. So raising issues for the concern for your community is what's really going to stick as well, because a lot of those people who are on the Action Council, hey, they might not know either. So going back and forth, everybody's going to be learning different things. And so hopefully we can come up with more solutions to, how to better get those funds dispersed and how to navigate through that system. And this one just says a little thing that I took from the Illinois Commission report, and it says creating equitable access requires engaging and involving the beneficiaries most impacted by the ECEC system and its redesign and ensuring transparency throughout. And though that's taken directly from the commission report that Livia did mention, that is available for folks to view. And these are just, things that were laid out. And this is just facts. Our current ECEC system is not designed to truly capture what's happening in the community based on how it gathers information. And that's what the Family Voice, we're hoping that it's going to do. Making decisions that are not reflective of how families actually use and desire service delivery only adds to the ECEC deficits that we all know exist. Another reason that it's important to have that family council is to have the parent council or an intentional and effective parent engaging strategy. So developing a system for them as well is key to the work of each council as they develop an ECEC plan for their region, because all regions are different. And yes, we are Region 4 in, Winnebago and Boone County. Yes, they're both Region 4, but they both look very different once you start to map things out. So the need is going to be different. So they're going to need different things, because we talk a lot about quality and quantity. Well, if we give everything the same to every region, I mean, how equitable are we going to be if that's the case? So we really want to get specific and be very intentional in what we're trying to do for the Family Council. And just like the Action Council, it's going to be comprised of 15 individuals. And we understand that families, their time is precious, right? So we don't ask, a whole lot of meetings from them a month. And for their time, they are going to be in a paid leadership role. And that's really what it truly is. So, those families, for their time, they're going to get a stipend from us, because it is very important. We're asking them to take their time away, from doing their daily stuff, doing their, the things that they do with their children, other things like that, to give us, a little bit of their time to hear their story. So we think that's very important. So we try to meet everybody where they are and do what we can to make sure that the family voice is amplified. And that is the Family Council.
Thank you. Okay. Lisa's going to take this away.
Yeah, so just to kind of reiterate what Livia and Kelly mentioned, we are trying to determine the most equitable way to gather the most diverse populations in our region to further assess what's needed in early child care, to better assess. And so one of the ways they've decided to do that is to create focus groups and interviews with stakeholders in the region. And we mentioned that everyone in the community is a stakeholder, whether they be a caregiver, a parent, someone in the political realm, a church setting. Really, all of us are stakeholders, and the sooner we can get involved in benefiting the early childhood childhood education, the better. So the first way they're going to do that is through focus groups, and those are typically 4 to 8 people. We would gather for about 30 to 45 minutes, a group of people with diverse backgrounds, and kind of hear their stories and maybe focus on one particular question and kind of get the feedback for that. They're requesting that it be people 18 and above, but we are also considering interviewing people that are younger with a parent's approval. And we're also going to be doing interviews with leaders in childcare settings. And those interviews are a little bit different from focus groups, because whereas the focus group might decide to meet more than once on a specific issue, the interviews would be between 30 and 45 minutes, and we would ask a series of questions to gather data. And we want to make sure that we have a good representation of people that are gathering in these groups and interview settings. So we're really looking at how we can be intentional, Kelly's word, to gather people that are sometimes underserved in these settings. So, you know, single parents, people living with disabilities, maybe folks even from the prison system that still utilize childcare and need to understand how best they can get their child good quality care. And that's another word that we're using a lot, is not just childcare, but good quality care, to make sure we're most effective. So we'll be meeting and determining what is working and what is not working, and try and focus more on what is working. And then we're combining our efforts throughout the state of Illinois to bring better resources to our area. We're also going to be asking people to tell their story. So if you go to the Birth to 5 Region 4 website, you can anonymously even tell your story of what you feel like is working in childcare in your personal experience. And we're asking, you know, caregivers to provide that, parents, people who own childcare, people in business. If you've heard of a story that you felt like something that worked really well, we'd like to hear it, as well as what doesn't work and isn't working. We'd like to hear both sides. And let's see, challenges and successes are important to move forward, to develop better plans of action in the future. So we also have a website. If you go to the Region 4 website, and we'll give you the links here afterwards, where you can subscribe to our newsletter. So we're going to be creating a newsletter every month to kind of let you know what we're doing in the region to gather this information, and sometimes what the outcomes are. So we're going to be very intentional about that, and we would love to have you involved. And if you can think of anyone that you feel fits one of these categories and, you know, would want to give their story and share their experience, we'd be happy to talk to them. Thank you so much. And I think Sierra is going to give at the end. Oh, okay, go ahead, Livia. We're going to do a question and answer first.
We just wanted to be sure that we allowed enough time for any questions you may have. Feel free to shout it out or put it in the chat.
Maybe why people are just getting the opportunity to collect their thoughts and put some questions together. I do have some, but I'll make sure I pepper that throughout so I'm not hogging the microphone here. But I guess one of my questions is, you know, it was really great to see that you guys are intentionally making sure that the right voices are being heard. What is the plan, or what does it look like, how you guys are taking steps to reach those individuals who typically don't have a seat at the table?
Well, for example, getting connected with, for example, Transform Rockford, or excuse me, yes, Transform Rockford Great Neighborhoods. So initiatives that we know are out in our communities, we are looking to engage and to, you know, pick their brains and say, hey, can you connect us with, you know, so-and-so? So we're out in community talking to the stakeholders and getting recommendations as to whom we should approach next, or who we haven't had the conversation with yet. And so that's leading our outreach currently.
All right, awesome. All right, who else? Okay, well, then I will go again. So in understanding your program and scope in general, is your program the program now that's set where the state is looking to you? You know, I know that there's so many opportunities for people and families to go to their state representatives and, you know, go to Springfield themselves, but are you guys now this program where when it's time to get feedback or make decisions for early childhood, they look to Birth to Five and say, okay, we're looking to you directly to tell us what you've, you know, heard, what you've seen, what you've collected? Is that like your group?
Yes, that's exactly what we've been charged with to accomplish through the Birth to Five program. And we would always advocate for, you know, other methods of communication. And so, you know, advocating to your local school district, your school board, your own elected officials. But yes, we are here at the table to collect the voices and to provide that in an annual report to the state. And so that is the goal that we've got laid out in front of us.
Awesome. Okay.
Sarah, can I just add that one thing I forgot to mention is the interviews could take place via Zoom or even over the phone. We're willing to meet with you in person, you know, over coffee. So we're going to provide our emails and you can reach out to Olivia, Kelly, or I, and we can set up an appointment and figure out the best way to interact with you so that it's most convenient for you.
Fantastic.
I
Okay.
did see Karen went unmuted for a minute.
Yes. So I am very new to my role and I'm still learning what exactly it looks like to be a maternal child health council coordinator. So it's all a little, you know, there's a lot of information I'm learning. So I'm curious, I know, I don't know how long everyone else has been a part of the team, but are there any opportunities for brainstorming or kind of coming together and sharing what other organizations or groups have been doing?
Absolutely. And if I'm not mistaken, your Boone County Health Department, right? Okay. Because you're on our list to come out and have a convo with you. And so, yes, there's plenty of opportunity for that, whether it's us coming to you one-on-one. We've been having great in our outreach in the community, just being at community events together as a unit has been really positive for us to remake the connections. I've been in this role since May of this year. And so it's, you know, a very new initiative when then Kelly came on and then Lisa came on in October. And so we have just hit the ground running out there, getting the message out, recruiting for the councils, and now recruiting to hear everyone's voice. And so, yes, we would love to collaborate with, you know, organizations as a whole too.
Thank you.
I do have a question here. How much involvement do you currently have from the faith community?
The faith community, we are looking for those connections. And so if you are here today or know somebody who we should be connected with, again, we'll have some follow-up information for you in our emails to please reach out and get us connected, because those are voices that are immersed in the community, who know so much and who we need to hear from. So that is one of our, everybody's a target, but that one has moved up the list.
All right, any other questions? Okay, I will ask my final question then. And I'll put this out there because I know this is a newer project, a newer program. And, you know, I completely understand that things take time, and getting that information and getting it to the right hands take time. But I think more and more people are interested about like immediate actions, you know, what can be done immediately to address things. Is that in your scope? If you continue to hear something that needs to be changed, to take immediate action on? Is there like something, you know, that will encourage people to know that, you know, I'm a part of this community now, and when I said this or explain that this is happening, you know, there was an immediate reaction to it?
Yes. So, and I know the word immediate can mean different things to different people, and so for us looking at these regional scans and getting the annual report going, we are looking at completing that and having some information on the table in the next 6 months. And so, in the scope of things, that is pretty quickly. And so, we'd hope that you consider that too. The sooner we get connected, the better for everybody. And for these thoughts and needs to be evaluated as soon as possible so we can get that change. Because one thing we know is that, in state government in the past, things maybe don't move at lightning speed, but I feel after COVID and after the commission, like the time is now. We have never been in the situation where everybody has a better understanding of how important and integral early childhood is to the economy and making things work, because when one child benefits, we all benefit, and when every child benefits, we're all winning. And so that's our path. And so we already feel like there's not enough time in the day, to hear everything we need to hear and to collect and to get those thoughts down. And so there are other things that have come up along the way where we've been, there's 39 of us across the state, where somebody at a state entity has said, hey, we need answers on this. Use the Birth to 5 team. They're across the state of Illinois. And so, we have been getting those requests. And so if we do reach out to you with some of those questions, please make it a priority, because you are going to be the benefactors of those programs and ultimately the policies and the funding where that gets funneled.
Fantastic. Well, we do have one comment. Thank you for making us aware of this. I love the goals and direction of this. And then to answer, Ms. April, your question, there will be a recording available to anybody who registered. They'll get the recording, the playback first, and then we'll post it on our website and all of our social media channels, along with the resources and the presentation that Liv will be sending to me. I will make sure I get that out to you guys. Just want to make sure there was nothing else. Okay, I think that's it as far as questions and comments. Anything else you guys want to add, Liv, before we end today's Lunch and Learn?
Just thank you for your time. I mean, it always just blows me away at the time that people are willing to, donate to positive outcomes and positive initiatives going on. So thank you so much for your time.
Yes, absolutely. Again, we have the same kind of philosophy about the right people are supposed to be at the top, telling us what they need, what they want, what they desire to drive the goals. And so for our instance, it's neighborhood residents. So I think our philosophies fit really well. And so we're excited to hear that there's an early childhood component that's really intentional about making sure the same thing happens for our kids. And again, just looking at the comments, making sure I'm not missing anything. Thanks, Beth, for the wonderful comment. It looks like there are people here who want to know more and get involved with you guys. So I'll make sure that all this information gets sent out. And if there is nothing else, that does conclude our program for today's Lunch and Learn. I did put in the comments, I sometimes always forget to introduce myself at the beginning. I get so excited about jumping into the program. So just for anybody who doesn't know me, my name is Sierra and I'm the program director for Great Neighborhoods. So this is an example again of education and information and resources that we provide to neighborhoods. If there's anybody who has an idea for a presentation or a training, feel free to reach out to me. We just want to make sure that we're providing, excuse me, the right information to what people desire to know and learn. So feel free to reach out to me about that. And yeah, if there is nothing else, we thank everybody for your attendance today and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.